Hey, what's up you guys? This is Junior Trader, and in this video, let's take a look at AMD earnings debacle. I don't want to say debacle, but look, we'll go through the earnings and price action specifically, and I'll take you over a couple of things how it's been put out as in the news as well. Most importantly, price action is what will define AMD. I'll provide my opinion as well. In the post market, this thing is at almost 108, so I can show you on the hourly interval. Yeah, 108. And then we'll also talk about ARM, because ARM has its earnings tomorrow. What are the possibilities to watch in that, and the price action, how it would gap up or gap down, what will it eventually make the structure of ARM? So we'll take a look at that as well. As for other semiconductors, Nvidia and also Tesla, those I already talked about in a separate video today. Check those out here if you are interested on my channel. And for Google earnings, I already talked that with the members today. So those details, there are Patreon links in the description of this video. So check that out there. That will also give you access to my tools if you are interested. All right. Now, starting off with AMD. As we know, and let me actually mark it where the price is, and I'm gonna, so that we can follow that through in the daily interval and the weekly interval as well. I'm gonna mark it as a red line. All right. Now, here we are, a fully broken structure right now. All right. There is no bullishness in the price action where the price is at the red line. Right now, technically, we are in the direction of $100. And that will be the zone, and let me take it to the weekly interval. That will be the zone where the next demand level is, all right? And until then, there is nothing big of a demand zone unless AMD recaptures the level of, again, above 112 and 87 cents. Again, I don't want to discount anything. Anything can happen the next day as well in the earnings, after the earnings, I mean, all right? So yes, AMD has fallen despite the fact that we had earnings, EPS great, revenue great, and also not just that, their forward-looking guidance is also at par with better than expectations. What I want to just highlight and make you cautious of is don't focus on the headlines here. They say, oh, AMD revenue jumps in for Q4 but misses estimates. It's all just narrative based now because price action has fallen. They are making the headlines in such a way. But as we'll go through these a couple of articles, like AMD stocks falls on disappointing revenue for data center chips. Again, they will cherry pick anything to make a narrative because they want to fit in their headlines based off of the price action and show you that, oh, because of this, it happened. No. The thing is that, as I say, no one knows what's going to happen through the earnings. It's all about where the whales want to move the price. Technically, AMD did show us a good bounce for the early first few minutes when the earnings happened, and then we broke pretty much the leg and the neck and everything, right? And as I always say, no one knows what's going to happen through the earnings. Despite earnings, as I showed you, being good, they didn't miss on anything, right? And also their forward-looking picture is great. Well, when I say great, let's go through these articles. Because if you take this example with Tesla missed on one of the part of the earnings. And they didn't have even much future guidance, great, but price stabilized, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's all about price action at the end of the day. Now earnings have happened. We have the price action that we'll talk about. Well, I just want to take you first over this article as well real quick. And you can see, like, when the article starts, it says AMD reported better than expected earnings result, but soft data center revenue, right? And what other headline I just showed you? Well, here also disappointing revenue. Look at, it's all made up, right? All right, it's all about trying to fit in the price because they're like, oh, we gotta make people believe in our news, right? Anyways, so the thing is that, sure, all this stuff, you can go into that. The AMD forecast sales in the current quarter to a range with 7.1 billion at the midpoint versus the 7 billion analyst estimate. So it's not that bad, right? And the future looking guidance is just fine, but it's just that the price action is not supporting that, and Wall Street still wants to push this stock down. And there is actually Yeah, pretty much that's what it is. AMD guided for revenue between 6.8 billion and 7.4 billion, the midpoint of which beat the 7 billion that analysts surveyed by FactSet had forecasted, right? And all in all, it's great. I mean, the beat on revenue and EPS, and it's just they'll cherry pick anything just to fit in the narrative right now. So, doesn't matter. We have a price action, and unfortunately, price action didn't gap up. We have broken the structure. We are below 200 weeks moving average on AMD. At this point, technically, we are in the direction of $100. How do we take this tomorrow though intraday? Let's get to the hourly interval for that. Yes, so target is $100. Sorry if I said 200 before, that's now. $100 is technically the direction where the next the biggest of all the bigger demand zone is in the recent closeness proximity. Here, so what I want to talk about is how to do the price action tomorrow. If a rebound comes tomorrow, technically 112 and 80 cents is just a level of rejection, a short or a sell-off where sellers will be sitting. 112 and 80 cents below, we will stay in problem and weakness in the downward pressure. As I say, no, never discount the next day as well. Things could turn around if any way, because look, earnings are not bad. And I have seen stocks the next day turn around just because they badly reacted while earnings were fine, guidance was fine, but they still sold off. I have seen, in my experience, stocks come back around and turn from the next day bullish. But again, nothing is guaranteed. But what I'm saying is that what will be that level that will turn around the things? And for you in the near term, that will be 108 and 12 and 82 cents. If tomorrow by any chance we get above 112 and 78 cents area or 80 cents area, and we start to close above it the day as well, like around 114, AMD will start to look again just fine in a potential, eventually starting a strengthful trend that we had at least from last 2 days. So, but that will just be a rebound. But anyways, if we stay below 112 and 80 cents, nothing really changes on AMD. We technically remains in the bearish downward structure, and that will just constitute a rebound. So that's what we are watching on AMD. So yes, price action is broken. Let's see what happens tomorrow based off of these levels that I just mentioned. And if we continue to fall eventually, the next really good area of potential demand is at $100, right? As I showed you in a video before check this video out, AMD earnings week video that I did 2 days ago. I showed you analyst data as well. And no analyst has so far below 110, but they're still pushing it lower. So, I mean, not the price target, but they are selling off, or, yeah, there's definitely the big players are not into buying it. And I want to show you also from the morning today. So what I'm showing you are the contradictions in the price action and the fundamentals. But price action will prevail, guys. Price action is the source of the truth if you are in the market to make the money. So there was one Rosenbelt in the morning. Here we go. AMD is maintained at buy by Rosenblatt, however they say it, with a $250 per share price target. So anyways, and as I showed you, everyone is mostly overweight and, buy in this video. I showed you, check that video out if you're interested. Anyways, analyst doesn't matter. Price action is still negative. Unless price action is not giving us bullish strength, we are technically not bullish, right? So we are still weak, still selling off, and right now we're really broken. But as I say, give it next day as well. Don't discount it. But 108 and 12 and 80 cents is a defining line on AMD. All right, now I want to talk about ARM, because ARM has its earnings tomorrow. What would happen, right? So here's the thing. I looked at the options. There is nothing interesting on that side. So we'll talk about the price action. Overall bullish, it's just in the bullish structure. Now I want to talk about the possibilities of gap up or gap down through the earnings. Is it a gapper through the earnings lately? It's fine. It does some gap. Yeah, it does. So let's take a look at this earnings. We had a gap down through this earning, gap down of almost 11.3%. And what happened in the previous earning? Not much. We did have some reaction, but yeah, no, pretty much flat. Well, okay, let's, yeah, and then prior earning to that, not much. Anyways, okay, so here's the thing. As per the structure, let's say ARM gaps, technically it's in the bullish structure, so if it gaps up, great, we just continue higher. If ARM gaps down, but it stays above this area of 150, we will just be in the bullish structure, no problem. If it gaps below 150 but stays above 144 area, we would eventually still be fine. The only problem on ARM, I would say, will be if we lose 137 and 81 cents area. If we gap down below it, then only we would be in a deep problem. Otherwise, no, we are fine on ARM. And yeah, so anyways, watch what it does tomorrow. Definitely, if we, so there are levels and the strength of the bullishness also, right? If we lose 150 gap down, then it's just going to stay weaker, but eventually it still has a chance to come up. If we lose like 139, 140, then it's just fully broken. But if we stay even after gap down above 150 and 152, we will still just be very bullish in the momentum structure. And if we gap up, it's just fine. Technically, overall structure is bullish. At this point, it all comes down to the earnings. Intraday, higher highs, higher lows in the bullish structure until just for intraday, any pullback until 161 and 25 cents, just a bullish structure. If we stay above it, we are fine. Even if we dip below that, technically we should be just fine even until like 150 and 75 cents overall. But anyways, it all comes down to the earnings now. Gap up or gap down, we'll get to see. AMD was showing a really good price action for the day. Overall, whole day, it really showed a really good price action. It went up quite nicely, and at one point it felt like, well, even after earnings, or well, when earnings were happening, that, oh yeah, it's going up, and look at it, but it's just sold off. All right, guys, that's all I have for you in this video. Let's see what happens tomorrow, and with that, I'll see you in my next videos. Take care. Bye.